in sub-Saharan Africa. But it's a country of paradoxes as well. We have 110 million extremely poor people, extremely poor. And going around this country during the course of the campaigns showed me just how poor people are. In many of the urban centers, we don't even see the poverty until we get to the rural areas all over the country. And the poverty is so stark and so disheartening that anyone who compares what we see here to what goes on elsewhere, to what is going on elsewhere in the country, will just be shocked by just the stark differences that there are. I've been spending a bit more time in Abuja now than ever before because, of course, we're in the process of transition, so I'm spending a lot of time here. And for the first time in a long time, I actually dozed off in the car. I live in Lagos. Those of us who live in Lagos never doze off in our cars. There's so much tension. But you know, this place, this Abuja, has a way of almost misrepresenting the facts. This is a very comfortable place. This is a very quiet place. You get the sense, being here, that everything is fine. But anytime you go out of this cocoon of ours here, you are almost completely convinced that this country needs immediate fixing. Something has to be done about this country quickly, because the vast majority of people are extremely poor and they are completely alienated from all of the good things that this country ought to be producing for them. Unemployment of graduates is 80%, going by some of the figures we've seen. General unemployment is going to about 40%. And people have to wait, graduates have to wait almost 5 years sometimes to get any kind of decent jobs. We're a net importer of refined petroleum, despite the huge resources of hydrocarbon that we have. In all the human development indices, it appears that we are well down the ladder. We all know, of course, now that March 28th, 2015, General Buhari was elected president of this country. And he was elected on the platform of change. This country, somehow, the vast majority of people who voted for that ticket believe that this country required change. And with change comes great expectations, very high expectations indeed. As a matter of fact, I recall that when we were campaigning in Zamfara, and in one of the places where we stopped, in fact, we had to stop because of the sheer numbers of people who were pressing against the bus that we were in. People pressing their faces against the bus and shouting, say Baba, say Buhari, Baba, Oyoyo, and all of that. And General Buhari said to me, he said, look at their faces. Do you see anything in the faces there? And I said, well, they seem excited to see us. He said, look well. I said, I'm looking. They look excited. They're happy to see us. He said, no. He said, these people who I see here are expecting that on day 2, if we win and we're sworn in, all their problems will be over. And I said to him, yes, they expect you to solve all. They solve all of their problems. But of course, you know that I am going to be very, very actively working to ensure that the expectations, the high expectations, are not dashed. But that is the nature of where we are today. That is exactly where we are today. Expectations are extremely high. And the reason why expectations are high, of course, is because we campaigned on the platform of change. Because we believe in change, and everyone, most Nigerians also, believe that there need be a change in the direction of our country, that there need be a change in the way things are done, that there need be a change in the way our economy is run, that there need be a change in our value system, and that all of this will require us, men and women like you and I, to fix it. We can't import people to fix it. Spirits are not going to fix it for us. We are those who are called upon in this generation and this time to fix it. What do our people want? What do people want? Basically, people want jobs, they want opportunities for business, healthy, comfortable living conditions, healthcare, housing, security of lives and property, security from violence, to their lives, to their properties, to their places of worship, or even security from expropriation, government seizing property or seizing whatever it is that belongs to the people. These are the simple expectations of the people of this country. And I say the simple expectations because these are the expectations that anyone anywhere would expect. These are the kinds of things that people all over the world expect from governments or expect from their societies. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do to change things? What are the challenges and what are the opportunities? The economy, of course, is crucial. And as most of us can see today, I don't think we need to be economists to see that the economy of the country has basically gone south. And there are various reasons. Aside from the plummeting oil prices, there's also the problem of misgovernance over an extended period of time. There's no question that that is what we're experiencing today. So we need to change certain things. We need to look again at fiscal policies, how expenditures are made. I mean, if you read the PwC report, I don't know how many have read it. It is clear that in the oil and gas sector, the NNPC there was just all sorts of things going on there. A lot of money was spent without appropriation, and that's just putting it mildly. That's just the best face that you can put to it. And without proper appropriation, a lot of money was spent. So while on the side of the CBN, the regulator side, they obviously were trying to control interest rates, look at how to manage inflation. Expenditure, the fiscal side, was not being taken care of. Expenditure was going on rather uncontrollably. We need greater governance in our revenue earning sector. Greater governance. The geese that lay the golden egg, all of the golden eggs are laid by oil and gas, which is our major revenue earners. We need greater transparency. We need greater controls there to be sure that those who are responsible for securing our oil and gas earnings are honest and that the whole process is transparent for all to see. Taxation, customs, the maritime sector, all of these are revenue-generating areas where we need to pay greater attention, greater governance in these particular areas. The truth of the matter is that we cannot afford to be careless about the sources of revenue, in fact, the current sources of revenue, if we intend to meet any of the development objectives that we have. As I've said here, we need to protect the geese that lay the golden egg, especially from graft and corruption. I'm going to be talking about that briefly in the course of this presentation. Obviously, everyone knows that we need to diversify the economy. There's been a lot of talk about diversification of the economy. We need to invest more in agriculture. And some of what we have been talking about in the past, especially during the course of the campaigns, is what it is that we intend to do in the area of agriculture. We think that smallholder farms will be particularly important in the agricultural policy that we intend to implement. We think that smallholder farms tend to create more jobs. We think that some kind of a minimum guarantee of payment for produce, especially certain types of produce, will encourage farming, improve seedlings, will encourage yield, and that obviously will also encourage the sector generally. We think that the entire agro-allied sector, the entire value chain, the entire agricultural value chain, we have to take a second look at it. Take rice, for example. We're importing about $4 billion worth of rice every year. Now, we can grow rice. There have been some attempts at some kind of a rice revolution. But we need to ensure that we're able to replace what it is that's going on at the moment. We need to replace all of the importation, the huge importation of rice. We need to be able to replace it with local production. Well, how do you do that? We think that some of the models that have been practiced in some other parts of the world will be very useful to us here. Thailand, for instance, if you look in our market today, we have a lot of Thailand rice, a lot of Vietnamese rice, a lot of Indian rice. And what most of these countries did was some kind of supply side intervention, whether it was a minimum